This is Diaspora Connect UG, bringing you closer to home.
Vice Chair of this occasion, Ms. Nachibuka, Ms. Evelyn Nachibuka, for that brilliant introduction. Meaning, like, you set the stage for this whole event, because that's extremely important. We are here for how do we sustain our struggle going forward, and in order for us to be sustainable, we have to be working hand in hand with Kampala and the team. We can't be like pulling opposite directions. So thank you so much for that, and I'm very grateful. All right, so this slogan, people power, our power, and Twebereremu, the selection of those two, or the adoption of those two slogans by the principal, I think was a stroke of genius. Those are very, very powerful slogans. Yeah? So when we talk about people power, like when we talk about advocacy, when we tweet, when we write, individually, we write letters to our senators or elected representatives, and we are doing it individually. But when we collectively, our collective efforts have impact, and that is people power, right? That is people power. So that is a great slogan. So now, before I move on, I want to acknowledge one thing. There is a Twitter team which has been doing this work. It's not been me by myself. Without people working and doing this work, by myself I can't do much. So I hope some of these people are here. Fatu, can you stand up, please? This lady is from Sierra Leone, and she's been tweeting with us every single day, and she's so passionate. It's unbelievable. Mary Chiganda, can you stand up, please? I want to acknowledge this because these are the people that have been doing the work. It's not just been me. Kawesa, is Kawesa here? Kawesa? No. Hey, Kawesa. Tony Subuga? Tony Subuga, I don't see him. Yeah, and some of them were not able to make it. But anyway, so thank you so much for that. Now, which means, do your part. Like as an individual, you can do so much. That is, I think, even more powerful than people power. Because what does Mweberemu mean? It means individually, as Mr. Karim was saying, pick up the phone, call your senator, write, tweet, because you don't have to wait for Mr. Ntambi or Ms. Nachibuka or a leader, to do the work, to reach out. That's why the principle, when it says move, it means it's my responsibility. It's each one of us' responsibility to do something. Like no one is going to do anything for us. Collectively, when we all do our part, that is that's when we have impact. So which means do your part, take charge, take responsibility is a very, very critical way to kind of interpret that the principles call. And that is that. So now, we've been doing a lot of advocacy in the diaspora. But unfortunately, sometimes we've not been quite in sync with Kampala. And I think that's a sentiment that is pretty common within the diaspora. And I hope the Kampala team listens to us on that. And I'm sorry, because in some ways, some people think I'm controversial because I speak my mind about some of these issues, and maybe sometimes I don't say them the right way. But sometimes when you're passionate, the passions, kind of take over. So now, there have been a number of situations which I'm not going to go into details, but which whereby we are reaching out, but there is no follow-through, as I think Ms. Evelyn was alluding to. We need, when we reach out to policy leaders in Washington or the media or whatever, we need a partnership with Kampala to make sure that these things happen. Because, you know, without any follow-through, then nothing, I mean, it's almost like we're wasting time. So, okay. So now, let me, I have a couple notes which I'm going to just quickly, you know, refer to. If you, excuse me, sorry. It's too important to miss. Where did I put it? Sorry, guys. I lost my...
heading and leading our Diaspora Welfare Department. And we appreciate you so much for all the help and all the dollars, all the monies that you have been giving to help our comrades back home in Uganda. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Madam Dorothy.
Thank you so much, David. I thank you once again, Madam Evelyn, for giving me another opportunity to address this wonderful gathering with the people power leaders and members and our executive and our members of parliament. I am so honored and privileged to be here, and I take this opportunity to once again tell you that just feel at home. We are one family, and Boston, Akalamatenda, Unchakwabulunch. Members and our leaders, may I please have my team with me. Our members, first of all, members, if you have, you can send a tweet or a message. We are broadcasting live from AITV. We have a Facebook page, AITV. We have a YouTube page, AITV Boston, and we are broadcasting live. So you can send a message, a link to everybody, whoever you know is not here, so they can follow the events as they unfold right here before you. Thank you so much. Members, the welfare team was established during and post, after the diaspora realized were the unfortunate events that were taking place back home, especially against our members of the National Unity Platform, and most importantly, our president. We all remember that Uganda always goes to the vote every 5 years. And for 40 years, we have been trying and seeking for change of leadership. And this time, it was in January 14th, 2021, which our president termed Mission 2021. We thought this was the deal. This was the day, this was the time Ugandans were going to get themselves rid of those who imposed us, those people who imposed themselves on us through our National Unity Platform, through our dear President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. But what followed during the campaigns and after the campaigns, we all witnessed extreme violation of human rights by the regime in power after stealing the vote and after imposing on Uganda, imposing themselves again using that infamous slogan of Twarwana, all those nonsense they were used to do because they felt insecure outside of the politics of Uganda. Probably they don't have no home to go to. That's why they imposed themselves on Ugandans. But whatever followed, we all witnessed. And as Ugandans in the diaspora, and as part of the National Unity Platform, with the diaspora came together and we felt the need to help the vulnerable and the poor, our mothers, our sisters, our comrades who were fighting tooth and nail to change the regime when the regime turns itself against its own people, violating all kinds of, committing all kinds of atrocities towards the citizens of Uganda, especially those who have different opinions of leadership. It's really, really sad. So we as diasporas, we came together. We felt the need to help our leaders, our secretariat, because as you remember, our president was bound. He was arrested at home for quite some time. He didn't have any communication. He didn't have any security himself. And we know our soldiers were really being kidnapped, tortured, maimed, and killed. So that's how we formulated the welfare team to get together diaspora to see how we could extend a hand. Through you members, I take this opportunity. Before I get there, my team comprises of a number of people. This team comprises of members from each Diaspora NUP chapter.
Are you not aware that the regime has infiltrated many political organizations, sponsored candidates, and given them resources to be able to divert the course of a political party, of a political movement? So these are the debates we need to have. But I do not think we should have them in the full glare of cameras. And if we feel that we are able to put safeguards in place and make sure that the leaders who we elect, for example, are going to represent our interests and are not going to bow to the dictates of the dictatorship, certainly. Maybe the president will tell you about this, but we also have intelligence within the system. And one of the things we know is that the dictatorship in Uganda is so worried about our diaspora effort. They are so worried about our diaspora effort because it has never happened before for them to be confronted by Ugandans in the diaspora the way we are doing as NUP and People Power. They wake up to a protest in South Africa, a protest in Zambia, a protest in New York, when Honorable Kyagulanyi was arrested in Arua, you remember what Job you comrades did and put the dictatorship on the spot. So we want to make sure that every decision we take is clearly and carefully interrogated for the best interest of the struggle that we are involved in. So I wanted to assure you that everything is open for discussion. We are open to learn, to take suggestions, but I think there is a Luganda saying, "Byomunju." We would love to have a very deliberate discussion, and let's have a discussion. I've just told the organizers this morning that we can have that meeting, and the president can also be part of it online, and we listen to each other, and after that get a clear course of action. And we are willing to take suggestions from you. So the question of leadership, that's what I wanted to say about that. Of course, I also recognize that sometimes there's a communication gap between the Secretariat and the diaspora, but we are constrained many times in terms of human resource capacity. Initially, many of you people in the diaspora actually, I always laugh at Comrade Herman and say that a lot of times he used to speak about issues in Uganda from a very detached view, and he says, "Why don't you do this? Why don't you do this?" And we would tell him our experiences. But I remember the first day he came to Uganda, and he went to northern Uganda to help with election guarding. He was immediately arrested, and I don't remember how many days he took there, but his account was that some of the people he was with, he suspects highly that they were compromised and therefore are the ones who gave him out. So that is the situation you're dealing with when you're dealing with a dictator. I want you friends to understand that we are fighting a dictatorship. And I'm very glad that our senior comrade here gave us these thoughts that when you're dealing with a dictatorship, there are things that you would love to do but you cannot do. Because the video when Honorable Kyagulanyi, our president, was reading our coordinators at the time from northern region, I think Mama Lina will tell you how, I don't know how many are still standing in that area. Western region. One tells you I was given a tractor to look after my garden and therefore I abandoned the cause. Another says, Museveni promised to pay my school fees, so I abandoned the cause. Another, but of course, that's why I said that these discussions which are in-house maybe would have been better for us to discuss them at that level. we share experiences and try to see which way is better for all of us. Now, somebody talked about manifesto. Our manifesto is online. Kindly just go to our website and you'll find our manifesto there. The other question that has come up consistently is the question of the president's failure to come. And we really take full responsibility. Maybe we should have found out his team. He has a team that manages him. Definitely, as Secretary General and the other leaders who are here, they do not manage the president's schedule. He has his personal assistant and secretaries and all that. But it was an oversight, a big oversight, and we are also reviewing his team around him to see how we can strengthen it and make it bigger. But I also want to talk about my experience in this meeting. Maybe the team I came with can be the one to even project it better. When we were coming here yesterday, I reached Qatar, and they put me aside. They came out and read my name and put me aside and said, "You've been to Amsterdam." I said, "But I've not been to Amsterdam." They said, "You've been there 2 weeks ago." That's what we see in the system. They asked me questions, blah, blah, blah. And I gave them my passport. That wasn't there. So I left and came here. And when I go to Logan here, it's the same thing. People put me aside and said, "Your passport shows that you've been in Europe, blah, blah." That's what our system shows. And you remember how long I took in that room where they normally take people before they are deported, before I could join the team. So we are also trying to find out if maybe that was a case of sabotage somewhere, because it's a possibility. You all remember, comrades, that a few weeks ago, I was meant to travel with the president to Zambia for the presidential inauguration. We did not give details at the time for a reason, but now maybe I can talk about it. We did our tests early morning, emergency, and we were within time. They said by, I think, 4 p.m. you'll have your results back. We waited. There were no results. Waited. There were no results. Our flight was, I think, 9 p.m. Waited. There are no results. Go to the airport. They escaped. They were going to come maybe at 6 p.m. They did not come. 7 p.m. They did not come. And we couldn't go. The swearing in was the following day. And the people at the medical lab kept saying that that had never happened, because the thing kept bringing invalid. So that is how we are not able to attend a very important event of that magnitude. So again, comrades, please let's be mindful that we are dealing with a dictatorship. And that day, earlier on in the morning, they kept calling us, different people, myself and other leaders, who is representing NUP, because I had gotten some information that we must be going. Who is representing NUP at the... And we kept making sure that we don't give them this information. But as you know, the COVID results are centrally controlled through the Ministry of Health. So I think we highly suspect, of course, that this was the regime making sure that they sabotage that particular travel. So that I wanted to explain that and say that where we have faults or oversights, definitely we take full responsibility, and we'll try very hard next time to make sure that the president comes, and I'm sure he will offer that apology even by himself. Again, it's sometimes very sad to see the work we do at the Secretariat, for example, is just too much. You have a small team dealing with the whole country, and every time you come there, you'll find people there, because as NUP, we need 3 things, 3 kinds of people, resource people. You want someone who is competent, you want someone who is available, who has the time, and you need someone who is reliable, who is not going to sell out. And our experience in the struggle has been that it is very difficult to get a person who has these 3 qualities. Most of the people are available, and I can tell you that most of our foot soldiers are available. But maybe because of one reason or the other, the competence levels to be able to deal with some of these sophisticated matters, they may not have that kind of training. And the people who are well trained are not available. They are busy in offices. You know, the intellectuals or elite in Uganda, very few are actually involved in the struggle for change. Or they are actually involved, but they don't want to be in the murky waters, again, so hard to serve the people, we are trying to do mobilization activities, we are trying to do charity events, we are trying to do general cleaning events, we are trying to build hospitals, buy ambulances, and most of the NUP leaders are doing this work which ordinarily should be done by government. But you remember, for example, there was a huge debate about the money that MPs normally get, and within ourselves we said, should this money be returned? It will just be, again, be embezzled like all the rest has been. Should it be taken to buy these cars or whatever? Then we said, you know what? Maybe the MPs, the individual leaders, should use this money to buy ambulances, to focus on education and healthcare. And if you go in almost every NUP-led constituency, not all of them, but majority of them took this advice, and they are trying to serve their people as much as they can. Someone has talked about the question of writing to the US and to the African Union, and I think I'm fully in agreement with that. Well, we need to remind these people, and those are some of the strategies we should be discussing here. How do we make sure that the hypocrisy of the world ends? You know, you just saw what happened in Uganda. Ugandans were killed on the streets in hundreds, over 100 by our estimates in November. And the AU did not release any statement. They did not release any statement to condemn the barbarian of Ugandans on the streets of Kampala. But the following day, when there is a coup or something, they come in, impose sanctions and all that. So we need to continue the pressure, and I think that's what we are doing yesterday at the United Nations, stop funding our oppression. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I want to again reiterate that the leadership in Kampala is not a separate leadership from the diaspora. We should be a team, and we should work as a team, and we should strengthen within the circumstances under which we operate. I want to appreciate all of you. NUP, both here and in Uganda, has always mostly worked on volunteerism. Some of the comrades who are, of course, sometimes face a lot of criticism and backlash and all that, have been people who just, when we are looking, people said, I am here, let me work. And so it was volunteerism at the start, and as we go along, I think we are going to structure better and see that we move forward. I thank you all for listening to me. May God bless you and keep you. Will be with us shortly, but before then I want to invite Deputy Secretary General, Comrade Aisha Kabanda, to add a word or two in the 10 minutes before we have the President speak to us. I thank you.
Thank you, my Secretary General. These are very rare occasions when a senior invites a junior. Thank you so much, my Secretary General. Once again, my name is Aisha Kabanda. I am the Deputy Secretary General, but also Woman Member of Parliament for Tambala District. Oh yes, people power. And I must say, I got overwhelming support from the diaspora. Thank you so much, diaspora team, for supporting us as members of Parliament to fight the cause for our individual constituencies, as well as the general cause for the whole country, Uganda. You supported the President and supported the MPs. Thank you so much. And as a person who was leading the fundraising drive, thank you, would never have raised that money. Thank you so much, the diaspora team. But I just want to say a word in a very short story. One time there was a man who was walking along a stream of waters, a river. He was walking and smeared with mud. And then he wanted to clear himself of the mud, so he soaked his feet into the waters to clear the mud. As he soaked his feet, the waters of the river carried away his sandals. He got so angry. You know what he did? He went and got a collection of banana leaves, set them on fire to burn the waters. He put the banana, threw the banana leaves on the water. It went sailing until the fire was extinguished.